The year is 1992. A group of 12 adventurous college students, brimming with the youthful exuberance of exploration, embarked on what they believed would be an unforgettable journey into the heart of Yosemite National Park. Their names, now whispered with a mixture of awe and apprehension, were etched into the annals of American mystery. Sarah Jenkins, the meticulous planner; Mark Davison, the seasoned outdoorsman; Emily Carter, the budding photographer; David Rodriguez, the ever-optimistic prankster; Jessica Lee, the quiet observer; Michael Chen, the tech-savvy navigator; Ashley Brown, the free spirit; Brian Miller, the strong and silent type; Stephanie Davis, the enthusiastic leader; Christopher Wilson, the witty storyteller; Amanda Garcia, the artistic soul; and Kevin White, the athletic powerhouse. They were a diverse tapestry of personalities, united by a shared passion for the wilderness and a thirst for adventure. Their destination, a challenging, yet purportedly well-trodden backcountry trail known for its breathtaking vistas and remote solitude. The air was crisp, the sun dappled through the towering pines, and the promise of discovery hung heavy and sweet. They carried backpacks filled with supplies, dreams, and the unshakable confidence of youth. They were ready to immerse themselves in the grandeur of nature, to push their limits, and to create memories that would last a lifetime. Little did they know, this expedition would etch their names into a different kind of memory, one of lingering questions and a chilling enigma that would persist for decades. The initial reports, filed with a growing sense of unease by park rangers when the group failed to check in at designated points, painted a picture of a troubling deviation from their planned itinerary. Search parties were immediately mobilized, their efforts amplified by the park's vastness and the increasingly desperate pleas of worried families back home. Helicopters scoured the rugged terrain. Ground crews navigated treacherous canyons, and every possible scenario, from a simple wrong turn to a more sinister possibility, was considered. Yet, as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the trail of the 12 students grew cold. No trace, no sign, no clue. They had, it seemed, simply vanished into the very wilderness they had sought to conquer. The case quickly captured the nation's attention, a chilling reminder of the wild's untamed power and the fragility of human presence within its embrace. The media frenzy was intense, with speculation ranging from improbable animal encounters to elaborate conspiracy theories. The official investigations, though exhaustive, yielded no definitive answers. The story of the missing Yosemite hikers became a cautionary tale, a haunting whisper in the collective consciousness about the unpredictable nature of the wild and the profound mysteries it can hold. The absence of closure, the gaping void left by their disappearance, gnawed at the edges of public imagination. Families clung to fading hopes, communities held vigils, and the national park, usually a symbol of natural beauty and recreation, became imbued with an unsettling aura of the unknown. The passage of time, while dimming the immediate urgency, did little to quell the enduring mystery. The case remained open, a cold file gathering dust in the archives, a stark testament to the enduring power of unanswered questions. 32 years later, a discovery would be made, a revelation that would send ripples of shock and renewed speculation through the nation, a discovery that would, in a peculiar and poignant way, bring the story of the 12 vanished students back into the stark light of public attention, forcing a re-examination of one of America's most enduring wilderness mysteries. The initial search and rescue operations in 1992, while extensive, operated under a specific set of protocols and assumptions typical of the era. Modern technology and search methodologies, now commonplace, were in their nascent stages or simply unavailable to the teams then deployed. Consider the reliance on aerial reconnaissance, often limited by weather and terrain visibility, and ground sweeps that, despite their thoroughness, could overlook subtle disturbances in the wilderness. The sheer scale of Yosemite, encompassing over 750,000 acres of diverse and often unforgiving landscape, presented an almost insurmountable challenge. Furthermore, the prevailing understanding of how individuals might navigate or survive in such an environment was less nuanced than it is today. The possibility of an entirely unforeseen event, one that defied conventional explanations, was perhaps not as readily entertained as it might be now, when preparedness strategies often include scenarios that account for extreme and unpredictable outcomes. The mindset of the search teams, while dedicated and professional, was necessarily guided by established procedures that aimed to locate survivors or recover remains within a reasonable time frame, based on typical wilderness incident patterns. The absence of any electronic distress signals, a common feature of modern missing person cases, further complicated matters, leaving investigators to rely solely on physical evidence and witness accounts, which, in this remote setting, were virtually non-existent in the immediate aftermath. The wilderness itself, a powerful character in this unfolding drama, offered no easy answers, its silence amplifying the mystery. The sheer density of the forest canopy, the labyrinthine network of canyons, and the unpredictable nature of weather patterns all conspired to obscure any potential clues. The passage of time, a relentless force, also worked against the search efforts, gradually eroding any ephemeral traces that might have been left behind by the students. The initial hope, a powerful motivator for the rescue teams, eventually gave way to a somber acceptance of the immense difficulty in locating individuals lost in such a vast and indifferent environment. The park's rugged beauty, so alluring to the students, became an impenetrable fortress of secrets. The very elements that drew them in, the isolation, the challenge, the raw power of nature, also served to swallow them whole, leaving behind a void filled only by speculation and the enduring ache of uncertainty. The investigation into the 1992 Yosemite disappearance, while initially focused on immediate search efforts, soon broadened to encompass a more forensic examination of the students' last known movements and potential environmental factors. This phase involved detailed analysis of their planned route, cross-referencing it with topographical maps, weather patterns from that specific period, and any reported anomalies within the park. Experts considered the physiological effects of altitude, dehydration, and exposure, assessing how these might impact decision-making and navigation for even experienced hikers. The psychological toll of becoming disoriented in such a vast and remote environment also became a significant consideration. Researchers delved into the students' backgrounds, looking for any indication of pre-existing conditions or unusual behaviors that might have contributed to their situation, though no significant red flags emerged. The sheer lack of any definitive evidence, no discarded equipment, no signs of a struggle, no campsite, forced investigators to entertain less conventional explanations, pushing the boundaries of standard search and rescue doctrine. This pivot towards analyzing the absence of evidence as a form of evidence itself became a crucial, albeit frustrating aspect of the inquiry, highlighting the profound challenges posed by cases where the natural environment seems to have entirely consumed any trace of human presence. Furthermore, the forensic, geological, and ecological assessments of the area where the students were last believed to be hiking were conducted with a keen eye for unusual phenomena. Geologists examined the region for signs of sudden geological events, such as localized landslides or sinkholes, that might have occurred without widespread detection, though no significant seismic activity or widespread ground disturbance was recorded for that period. Ecologists reviewed historical data on wildlife populations and behavior in that specific sector of Yosemite, considering the possibility of rare but extreme animal encounters, though the observed fauna in that region typically posed a minimal threat to groups of this size. The analysis also extended to the students' gear, examining the durability and potential failure points of their equipment, and considering how even minor malfunctions could be exacerbated by the challenging terrain and remoteness. This meticulous, almost microscopic examination of every conceivable factor, from the macro-level environmental conditions to the micro-level integrity of a backpack strap, underscored the depth of the investigative efforts, even as they struggled against the overwhelming silence of the wilderness. The process was a testament to the dedication of the investigators, who meticulously pieced together fragments of information, searching for a coherent narrative within a landscape that offered no easy answers, and grappling with the unsettling reality that sometimes the most thorough investigations can still lead to an abyss of unanswered questions. The sheer remoteness and ruggedness of the specific backcountry trails the students intended to traverse played an instrumental role in the difficulty of the subsequent searches. These areas, while breathtakingly beautiful, were characterized by steep ascents, dense undergrowth, and limited visibility, making aerial surveys less effective and ground searches exceptionally arduous and time-consuming. Consider the challenge of traversing terrain where a single misstep could lead to a significant fall, or where dense foliage could conceal pathways and natural features crucial for navigation. The students were also venturing into a region where cellular service was non-existent, a stark contrast to today's hyper-connected world, meaning any distress calls were impossible. This lack of immediate communication capability meant that any deviation from their plan or any unforeseen incident would go unnoticed for an extended period, significantly delaying the initiation of any rescue or recovery efforts. The park's vastness meant that even if they had encountered a minor issue, such as a sprained ankle, the ability to signal for help or navigate back to safety would have been severely compromised. The environmental conditions themselves, even without a catastrophic event, could rapidly incapacitate an unprepared or unlucky individual. The psychological impact of being lost in such an environment, amplified by the lack of any familiar landmarks or reliable navigation aids, could lead to a cascade of poor decisions, further compounding the initial problem. This intricate interplay between the challenging terrain, the absence of modern communication, and the psychological stresses of disorientation created a perfect storm of circumstances that made locating the group an exceptionally formidable task, even for the most skilled and dedicated search teams. The initial failure to find any definitive trace of the 12 students also necessitated a re-evaluation of standard search patterns and assumptions. Traditional methods, which often rely on finding discarded items, footprints, or signs of a campsite, were rendered largely ineffective in this particular scenario. The possibility that the students might have encountered an event that left no discernible physical evidence, or that the environment itself quickly reclaimed any such evidence, became a more prominent consideration. Investigators had to contend with the natural processes of decay, animal activity, and weather erosion, all of which could rapidly obscure or obliterate clues. The sheer scale of the search area, combined with the limited resources and time available in the immediate aftermath of their disappearance, meant that even the most thorough sweeps could have missed subtle indicators. The psychological toll on the search teams also became a factor. The prolonged absence of any positive findings, coupled with the immense pressure to locate the missing individuals, could understandably lead to a form of investigative fatigue, where initial assumptions might inadvertently narrow the scope of the search. The case highlighted the limitations of even the most robust search and rescue protocols when confronted with an anomaly that defied conventional explanations, prompting a deeper reflection on the inherent unpredictability of wilderness incidents and the often unseen forces that can shape their outcomes, leaving behind a profound sense of the unknown. The enduring enigma of the 12 vanished hikers in Yosemite in 1992 and the subsequent discovery of their shoes 32 years later naturally invites speculation about the psychological impact on the families and the broader public. For the relatives, the prolonged absence of definitive closure has been a particularly agonizing ordeal. Imagine the constant oscillation between hope and despair, the endless cycle of what-ifs, and the gnawing uncertainty that permeates every aspect of life. The initial shock and the frantic search efforts would have been followed by a period of intense grief and a desperate clinging to any sliver of information. As the years passed, this would likely morph into a more complex emotional landscape, perhaps characterized by a suppressed longing for answers, a quiet resignation, or even a profound sense of injustice. The lack of a body or a confirmed cause of death leaves a unique kind of wound, one that cannot be healed by traditional mourning rituals. It's a perpetual state of limbo, where the deceased are neither fully present in memory nor definitively gone. This psychological burden is compounded by the public nature of the case. The families might feel a sense of being observed, their private grief exposed to public scrutiny and endless conjecture. Now consider how this applies when you face a significant unknown in your own life. The lingering questions about a lost opportunity, an unexplained event, or a relationship that ended without resolution. The human mind craves narrative coherence, and when that is denied, it can lead to significant emotional distress. The Yosemite case serves as a stark illustration of how the absence of a clear conclusion can create a void that the psyche struggles to fill, leading to prolonged periods of anxiety and unresolved emotional processing. Furthermore, the discovery of the shoes, while offering a tangible link to the past, likely reopened old wounds and intensified the existing emotional turmoil. For the families, this find is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it confirms that their loved ones were indeed in that specific location, providing a concrete anchor in the vast sea of uncertainty. It might offer a sense of validation for their long-held beliefs and anxieties. On the other hand, it raises a fresh wave of questions and potentially more disturbing implications. Where exactly were the shoes found? What condition were they in? Do these findings suggest a particular sequence of events, or do they simply add another layer of mystery? The artifact, while a breakthrough for investigators, represents a profound and potentially painful moment for those who have been waiting for decades. It forces a confrontation with the reality of loss, but in a manner that is both specific and deeply unsettling. This scenario mirrors situations in our own lives where unexpected discoveries or revelations can bring buried emotions to the surface, compelling us to re-evaluate past events and our emotional responses to them. The discovery of the shoes is not merely a piece of evidence, it is a potent symbol of time's passage and the enduring power of unresolved loss, a tangible manifestation of a mystery that has haunted individuals and the nation for over 3 decades, compelling a fresh wave of contemplation and emotional engagement with the fate of these 12 young lives. The very act of finding these personal items after so much time and so many fruitless searches introduces a new emotional dimension, one that is deeply personal and profoundly significant for those directly affected, and yet also resonates with a wider audience that has followed the case. The psychological impact extends beyond the immediate families, influencing the broader public's perception of risk and the wilderness. For many who followed the story, the vanishing of the 12 students likely contributed to a heightened sense of caution, perhaps even a degree of apprehension when contemplating similar outdoor adventures. It serves as a potent reminder that even in well-trafficked national parks, the wild retains an element of the unpredictable, and human endeavors, no matter how well planned, are subject to forces beyond our control. This can foster a more nuanced appreciation for preparedness, risk assessment, and the inherent respect that the wilderness demands. It's not about fostering fear, but rather about cultivating a healthy awareness of potential dangers and the importance of humility in the face of nature's immense power. The case might also inspire a deeper curiosity about the unknown, prompting individuals to engage with stories of unsolved mysteries and the human drive to seek explanations. It taps into a primal fascination with the unexplained, a desire to understand that which lies beyond our immediate comprehension. Consider how tales of unexplained phenomena, from ancient legends to modern-day mysteries, capture our imagination. The Yosemite incident, with its tangible elements and the passage of time, offers a real-world narrative that resonates with this inherent human curiosity. It prompts reflection on our own vulnerabilities, our place in the natural world, and the enduring allure of the unknown, pushing us to consider the limits of our knowledge and the vastness of what remains undiscovered, even in seemingly familiar landscapes. This collective engagement with the mystery, even from afar, shapes our understanding of risk, our relationship with nature, and our innate desire to unravel enigmas. The discovery of the student's shoes after 32 years brings forth a compelling discussion on the ethical considerations surrounding the handling of such a significant archaeological and personal find. Imagine the scene. Park rangers, perhaps on a routine survey or responding to an unrelated report, stumbling upon a small, concealed cave. Inside, not geological formations, but the unmistakable, albeit aged, shapes of footwear. This isn't merely an evidentiary discovery. It's the unearthing of personal artifacts, imbued with the history and memory of individuals whose fate remains an open question. The immediate challenge for the authorities would be balancing the need for thorough forensic examination with the profound respect due to the missing individuals and their grieving families. This involves meticulous documentation of the exact location and context of the shoe's discovery, ensuring no detail is overlooked that could shed light on their final moments. Furthermore, the process of notifying the families after such a long hiatus is fraught with emotional complexity. How does one convey such news, which is both a confirmation and a deepening of the mystery? It requires immense sensitivity, providing not just information but also support and a clear outline of the next steps. The Park Service and law enforcement agencies would have to navigate the delicate terrain of public interest versus private grief, ensuring that the family's wishes and emotional well-being are paramount. This situation mirrors instances in our own lives where sensitive personal information comes to light, demanding careful consideration of privacy and the emotional impact on those involved. Think about how a rediscovered family heirloom, perhaps a letter or a photograph, can stir dormant emotions and necessitate a thoughtful approach to sharing and understanding its significance. The discovery in Yosemite, however, carries a far heavier emotional weight, transforming a personal artifact into a potential key to a national mystery, underscoring the ethical imperative for careful, compassionate stewardship of such finds. The scientific and investigative protocols employed upon discovering the shoes are crucial. This isn't simply about picking up a lost item. It's about preserving a potential crime scene, or at the very least, a critical piece of historical and personal evidence. Forensic anthropologists and archaeologists would be brought in to assess the condition of the shoes, noting any signs of wear, damage, or alteration that could provide clues about how they came to be in the cave. This might involve careful excavation techniques, using specialized tools to avoid disturbing the surrounding sediment, which could contain other minute traces of evidence. The shoes themselves would undergo rigorous analysis, potentially including DNA testing if any biological material remains viable, or trace evidence analysis to identify any substances or materials that might have adhered to them. Consider the intricate process of dating organic materials. Carbon dating might be employed, though its effectiveness would depend on the specific materials and their preservation. The geological context of the cave itself becomes a vital piece of the puzzle. Understanding the cave's formation, its accessibility over time, and any geological events that might have occurred in the intervening 32 years could help explain how the shoes were deposited and remained hidden. This interdisciplinary approach, combining forensic science, archaeology, geology, and even climatology, to understand environmental conditions over time, is essential for extracting the maximum possible information from such a significant discovery. It's akin to how historians meticulously analyze ancient texts or artifacts, piecing together narratives from fragmented clues, each element contributing to a broader understanding of the past, but with the added urgency of seeking answers for a still unresolved human tragedy. The meticulous nature of these scientific procedures ensures that the discovery is not just a sensational event, but a step toward potentially unlocking the truth. The discovery of the shoes in the Yosemite cave, 32 years after the student's disappearance, immediately shifted the focus from general search and rescue to a more specialized forensic investigation, particularly concerning the cave's microenvironment and the shoe's preservation. Geologists and speleologists would have been tasked with understanding the cave's formation and stability, assessing whether any geological activity could have contributed to the shoe's deposition or concealment, or conversely, if the cave acted as a stable repository. This would involve analyzing the cave's internal climate, humidity, temperature fluctuations, and air circulation, to understand how organic materials like leather and fabric would degrade or be preserved over such a long period. The presence of specific mineral deposits within the cave could also offer clues about the water flow and chemical environment, potentially aiding in dating or identifying environmental factors that influenced the shoe's preservation. This scientific scrutiny moves beyond the immediate discovery, delving into the intricate interplay of natural forces that governed the site over 3 decades. Furthermore, the analysis of the shoes themselves would extend beyond simple identification. Forensic textile experts would examine the materials for signs of wear patterns that might indicate how the shoes were used or damaged prior to their arrival in the cave. Evidence of microbial or fungal activity, or the absence thereof, could provide crucial information about the specific conditions within the cave and the timeline of the shoe's deposition. The very act of finding these items in a concealed location prompts deeper questions about intentionality versus accident. Were the shoes deliberately placed there, perhaps as a marker or a final resting place? Or did they become lodged in the cave through some unforeseen event, like a rock fall or a sudden surge of water? This nuanced examination of the physical evidence requires a multidisciplinary approach, drawing parallels to how archaeologists interpret ancient burial sites, where the context and condition of artifacts are paramount to understanding past human behaviors and beliefs. Beyond the purely scientific, the discovery necessitates a profound consideration of the ethical implications regarding the potential disturbance of the site. While the goal is to uncover truth, the cave now represents a unique historical and potentially sacred space for the families of the missing students. Any excavation or extensive sampling must be conducted with the utmost respect, minimizing environmental impact and prioritizing the preservation of the site's integrity. This involves careful planning to ensure that the search for answers does not inadvertently destroy further evidence or desecrate a place that has become, in a somber way, a memorial. The decision-making process here would involve extensive consultation with the affected families, allowing them a voice in how this sensitive chapter of their lives is further investigated. This ethical tightrope walk is not dissimilar to how institutions grapple with the display of human remains or the excavation of culturally significant sites. The pursuit of knowledge must always be tempered by a deep respect for human dignity and the weight of historical memory. The narrative then shifts to the potential forensic implications for the broader investigation. The discovery of the shoes in a specific, likely inaccessible location raises critical questions about the students' final movements. Did they reach this cave intentionally, perhaps seeking shelter, or were they somehow transported there? The specific type of cave, its geological characteristics, and its proximity to their last known intended route become vital data points. If the cave is deep or difficult to access, it suggests a scenario that might not align with a simple hiking mishap. Conversely, if it's a more accessible overhang, it might point towards a deliberate refuge. This requires detailed mapping and geological surveys, comparing the cave's location and accessibility with the students' planned itinerary and their known capabilities as hikers. The absence of other personal belongings with the shoes is also a significant piece of the puzzle, prompting speculation about what might have happened to the rest of their gear and their bodies. Moreover, the psychological impact of this discovery on the families, while intensely personal, also has broader societal implications for how we process and remember unresolved mysteries. It's a potent reminder that closure is not always a neat or definitive event. For the families, this find might offer a tangible, albeit painful, connection to their loved ones, a focal point for their enduring grief and questions. This resonates with how individuals navigate personal losses where the circumstances remain ambiguous. Finding a definitive artifact can provide a sense of grounding, even if it doesn't offer complete answers. The public's fascination with such cases underscores a fundamental human desire to understand the unknown and to find meaning in seemingly inexplicable events. The story of the Yosemite hikers, now punctuated by the discovery of their shoes, taps into this deep-seated curiosity, prompting reflection on resilience, the power of nature, and the enduring enigma of human disappearance. The forensic examination of the shoes unearthed in the Yosemite cave would extend to an in-depth analysis of the specific types of footwear. Were they hiking boots, athletic shoes, or something else entirely? The materials used, the tread patterns, and even the brands themselves could offer clues about the students' preparedness and their likely activities in the days leading up to their disappearance. For instance, if the shoes were high-end, specialized hiking boots, it might suggest a certain level of experience and investment in their outdoor pursuits, potentially making a simple navigational error less probable. Conversely, if they were casual sneakers, it could indicate a less experienced group, perhaps venturing into terrain beyond their comfort or skill level, making them more susceptible to adverse conditions or disorientation. The wear and tear on the soles could also reveal patterns of movement, indicating whether the students had indeed traversed the types of terrain they intended to, or if the shoes had been subjected to unusual stresses. Furthermore, the very process of finding footwear in a cave, rather than out in the open, necessitates a detailed geological assessment of that specific microenvironment. Speleologists would investigate the cave's accessibility from potential hiking routes. Was this a known side cavern, a newly formed fissure, or a location that would require significant deviation from any plausible trail? Understanding the cave's historical geological stability is also critical. Could a rockslide, seismic activity, or even a significant weather event have deposited the shoes and perhaps other items, or even the individuals themselves, into this hidden recess over the decades. The way the shoes were situated within the cave, were they scattered, neatly placed, or entangled with debris, would provide further context. Imagine a scenario where water erosion might have carried them into a crevice, or a small animal burrow might have been enlarged over time, revealing the long-hidden items. Each detail, from the presence of specific mineral deposits to the type of sediment surrounding the shoes, becomes a piece of a vast, intricate puzzle demanding meticulous scientific interpretation. The broader implications of finding footwear in such a secluded location, particularly if the cave itself is difficult to access or not marked on any maps, prompts a re-evaluation of the students' final intended movements. Did they deviate significantly from their planned route? And if so, why? Was there an attempt to find shelter, explore an uncharted area, or perhaps escape an unforeseen danger? The absence of other personal belongings alongside the shoes is equally significant. If the students were together when they entered this situation, one might expect to find a greater collection of their possessions. The singular discovery of footwear could suggest a more complex, perhaps fragmented, sequence of events. This might lead investigators to consider scenarios where individuals became separated, or where the elements played a more direct role in scattering their belongings. Now, consider how this applies when you've lost something important yourself. Sometimes you find just one piece, a glove, a key, and that single item, while not the whole picture, can trigger a cascade of memories and a renewed effort to retrace your steps. The shoes in the Yosemite cave serve as that singular, potent clue, demanding a thorough re-examination of every possible path and every hypothetical scenario. The preservation state of the shoes offers another layer of scientific inquiry. The specific conditions within the cave, its consistent temperature, humidity levels, and protection from direct sunlight and weathering, would have significantly influenced the rate of decay. Organic materials like leather and fabric are susceptible to degradation by moisture, fungi, bacteria, and insects. The fact that these shoes remained recognizable after 32 years suggests a relatively stable and dry microclimate within the cave. Forensic scientists would analyze the extent of this degradation to potentially estimate a more precise time frame for their deposition, comparing the observed decay with known rates of decomposition for similar materials in various environmental conditions. This meticulous scientific approach is akin to how historical documents are conserved. Understanding the environment in which they are stored is as crucial as the document itself in determining its long-term survival and the information it can impart. The discovery also raises questions about the potential for other undiscovered evidence within the cave or its immediate vicinity. If the shoes were found in a particular stratum of sediment, it implies that other items, or even skeletal remains, might be similarly preserved nearby, perhaps buried deeper or obscured by geological features. This would necessitate a careful, systematic excavation process, employing techniques used in archaeological digs to meticulously uncover and document any further artifacts or biological evidence without contamination or disturbance. The process would be painstaking, requiring patience and a deep understanding of soil stratigraphy and the delicate nature of buried materials. Each layer of sediment would be treated as a potential repository of information, demanding careful cataloging and analysis to reconstruct the events that led to the shoes being found in that precise location. The forensic investigation into the shoes discovered in the Yosemite cave would inevitably delve into the realm of footwear technology and its evolution, particularly as it pertained to the early 1990s. Experts would meticulously analyze the construction of the shoes, examining the types of materials used. Were they early Gore-Tex hiking boots, or more basic canvas athletic shoes? The manufacturing techniques of the era, such as the types of adhesives, stitching patterns, and sole compounds employed, could provide an independent timestamp for the footwear, corroborating or challenging other dating methods. This level of detail might reveal whether the students were equipped with cutting-edge gear for their time, or relied on more standard, perhaps less durable equipment. Consider how the evolution of running shoe technology, from basic rubber soles to advanced cushioning systems, reflects broader societal and scientific progress. The shoes found in Yosemite could offer a similar, albeit more localized, snapshot of material science and outdoor gear development from over 3 decades ago. Furthermore, the discovery necessitates a thorough examination of the cave's geological context, moving beyond mere accessibility to understand its potential role as a long-term repository. Geologists would meticulously map the cave's internal structure, identifying any potential water ingress points, sediment accumulation layers, or signs of past geological disturbances that might have occurred over the 32-year period. For instance, evidence of slow-moving water flow could explain how lightweight items like shoes might have been transported and lodged in specific crevices over time, gradually becoming buried by sediment. Conversely, a sudden, violent event, like a localized flash flood within the cave system, could have deposited them more abruptly. The presence of specific mineral formations or stalactite, stalagmite growth patterns within the cave could also provide crucial dating information, helping to establish a timeline for when the environment within the cave might have stabilized or changed, potentially influencing the preservation of the shoes. This intricate geological detective work is akin to how paleontologists reconstruct ancient ecosystems by studying fossilized remains and the rock strata in which they are found, each layer of earth holding clues to past environmental conditions. The absence of other personal effects alongside the shoes introduces a complex layer of speculative reconstruction. If the shoes were indeed worn by the students, it raises the question of what happened to their bodies, their backpacks, and other essential gear. Could the cave have served as a temporary shelter where they shed their footwear before venturing further into a more perilous section of the cave system, or perhaps before attempting an exit? Alternatively, could the shoes have been dislodged from their bodies due to environmental factors or animal activity over the intervening decades, leaving them isolated? This scenario prompts a consideration of the specific fauna that inhabit such caves and their potential role in disturbing or scattering any remains. Think about how, in your own experience, losing a single piece of gear on a hike, a water bottle, a trekking pole, often signals a moment of distraction or a minor mishap that could, in a more extreme environment, cascade into a larger problem. The isolated discovery of footwear, therefore, compels a detailed re-examination of the students' probable movements and the environmental forces that might have acted upon them and their belongings. The scientific analysis would also extend to the potential for trace evidence embedded within or on the shoes themselves. Beyond DNA, which might be degraded, forensic scientists would search for microscopic particles of soil, vegetation, or even pollen that could help pinpoint the specific ecological zone the students had traversed. The type of soil clinging to the shoes, for example, could be compared to geological surveys of known hiking trails and the immediate vicinity of the cave, helping to establish whether the shoes had been in contact with the cave's environment for the entire 32-year period, or if they were introduced more recently. This meticulous examination of microscopic clues is reminiscent of how historians analyze ancient manuscripts for ink composition or paper type to date and authenticate them, with each minute detail contributing to a larger, more accurate picture. The integrity of the cave's internal environment would be paramount in ensuring that any trace evidence found on the shoes is indeed contemporary with their deposition and has not been contaminated by later external factors. Reflecting on this journey so far, we've navigated the intricate contours of a mystery that began with a hopeful expedition and evolved into a decades-long national enigma. The narrative arc, from the initial bewilderment of a vanished group to the painstaking scientific scrutiny of their rediscovered belongings, has illuminated the profound impact of the unknown on both individual lives and the collective consciousness. The threads of human endeavor, environmental forces, and the relentless passage of time have been woven into a complex tapestry, revealing not just the challenges of wilderness survival, but also the enduring human quest for understanding. As we stand on the precipice of resolution, the convergence of scientific inquiry and the deeply personal legacy of those lost invites a contemplation of how such events shape our perception of the world and our place within it. The accumulated insights from the preceding exploration now coalesce, not into a simple summation, but into a richer appreciation for the multifaceted nature of this enduring story, hinting at the broader significance that lies just beyond our immediate view, awaiting a final perspective. The careful examination of evidence, the consideration of countless variables, and the very passage of time have all contributed to a landscape of understanding that, while not yet complete, has been profoundly shaped by the pursuit of answers. Each layer of investigation, from the initial search protocols to the sophisticated forensic analysis, has served to refine our perspective, much like a sculptor chipping away at raw stone to reveal the form within. The echoes of the past, carried by tangible artifacts, now resonate with the accumulated knowledge gained through rigorous scientific methodology. This intricate interplay between the tangible and the interpretive guides us towards a more comprehensive view, one that acknowledges both the stark realities of the wilderness and the persistent human drive to make sense of the inexplicable. As we pivot towards the final reflection, consider how the lessons learned from such profound enigmas illuminate not only the specific circumstances, but also universal truths about resilience, memory, and the ceaseless human effort to bridge the chasm between the known and the unknown. As we pivot towards the final reflection, the cumulative effect of these explorations begins to illuminate a broader significance. The journey through the details of this enduring mystery has been akin to traversing a winding path, with each turn revealing new vistas and deepening our comprehension. The disparate elements we've considered, the environmental factors, the human element, the scientific methodologies, and the profound emotional resonance, now converge, not to offer a singular, simple answer, but to create a richer, more nuanced understanding. This convergence suggests that the true takeaway lies not just in the resolution of a specific event, but in the very process of seeking, the way in which we grapple with uncertainty, and the enduring impact of such narratives on our collective human experience. The insights gained serve as a lens through which we can view not only this particular story, but also our own relationship with the unknown, with nature, and with the passage of time. The enduring narrative of the 12 lost hikers in Yosemite, now underscored by the poignant discovery of their shoes decades later, transcends the mere recounting of an unsolved mystery. It stands as a profound testament to the untamed power of nature, the fragility of human endeavor against its vast backdrop, and the tenacious grip of hope and memory that binds us to those we have lost. The journey from their hopeful departure into the wilderness to the meticulous forensic examination of their weathered footwear has illuminated not only the immense challenges of wilderness survival, but also the intricate ways in which scientific inquiry can, over time, begin to unravel the deepest enigmas. This story, etched into the American consciousness, serves as a powerful reminder that even in the face of overwhelming silence, the pursuit of understanding can yield fragments of truth, offering solace and a deeper appreciation for the preciousness of life. What resonates most deeply, perhaps, is the intricate dance between the known and the unknown, the tangible evidence and the enduring questions that remain. The shoes, once a symbol of youthful adventure, transformed into silent witnesses, their very existence a testament to time's relentless march and nature's capacity to both conceal and reveal. This discovery compels us to reflect on our own relationship with the wild, fostering a respect that is born not of fear, but of a profound understanding of its awe-inspiring and at times unforgiving character. It encourages a mindful approach to our own explorations, a recognition that preparedness, humility, and an awareness of our limitations are not mere precautions, but essential components of engaging with a world that holds wonders beyond our immediate grasp. Ultimately, the tale of the vanished hikers and their rediscovered shoes is not just about what happened in that remote Yosemite cave. It is about the enduring human spirit, the unwavering love of families, and the collective curiosity that drives us to seek answers, even when the path is long and the findings are bittersweet. It speaks to the importance of bearing witness, of remembering those whose stories might otherwise fade into the vastness of time. The true practice begins now, in carrying forward the lessons learned, in fostering a deeper connection with the natural world, and in cherishing the fragile threads that connect us to one another, even across the widest of divides. This enduring mystery, in its own somber way, offers a timeless invitation to live with awareness, to explore with respect, and to never cease the quest for understanding.